Couch Crew, it's me, Nikki, the host of Nikki's Comfy Couch. I'm a certified life coach, crisis counselor, and I'm telling you how I went from being the lowest paid in a position to a six-figure earner. Today, I'm going to give you tips on how to interview because I think many people might have the skills necessary for a job and they might really be a great asset to a company, but they're not really sure on how to interview well. And so I'm going to tell you, the last time I interviewed for a position, when I was ready to leave my other job, I applied for one job, one time, went on one interview, and I got the job. From about my late 20s to 30s and onward, I've pretty much gotten the jobs that I've gone after. And I'm going to tell you why, because I feel like many people might really be an asset to a company, might really be a great worker, but they probably just don't interview well. So I'm going to give you these tips. So I'm telling you, please get something to write them down because we're going to go over them, okay? So the first tip I want to leave is that the interview starts before the actual interview. I have called people and I've heard people calling folks to get an interview, and the way that the person is answering the phone and answering the questions can really be a turnoff. If somebody calls you about a job and you're like, oh, what job is this again? What was the pay again? I'm sorry, I don't remember. When you're acting pretty clueless about what you applied for and what's going on, that's really a big turnoff, okay? And if you're acting like you're unavailable to make the interview and all of this, it's really a turnoff. And the person who's calling is normally probably like an admin person, but they have say too. So you have to be really careful when they're calling you about an interview that you don't act clueless, okay? So keep a file when you're interviewing or applying for things rather, so that way you can reference them and not act clueless when somebody's calling you about the job. The second thing is when you actually show up for the interview. So again, this is all part of the interview starts before the interview. When you actually show up for the interview and you get in there and you talk to the front desk person, all of that matters. You're going to want to make sure you smile. You're going to want to make sure you greet them. Hey, how you doing? This is who I am. And even while you're sitting to wait for the interview, you want to make sure that, you sit in a way that shows confidence and that, you're ready for the interview. So trust me, all of that matters before you even get the interview inside of the interview room. All of this matters. So make sure that when the person calls you, you're professional when you answer the phone, that you're ready to give them information about when you can meet for the interview. When you get to the actual interview, you're greeting the front desk person with great energy. And as you're waiting, you're just waiting in confidence professionally for the interview to start. So again, the interview, say it with me, starts before the interview. The second thing I want to mention is make sure you do your research. Never, and I mean never, go to an interview without looking up that company first. Look on that company's website, find out what it is that they do, and be able to give them a summary of what they do in a few sentences. Because inevitably, most people ask, okay, what do you know about our company? You want to be able to memorize, have a good couple sentences down where you can give them a short answer on what it is that their company does, what your understanding of that is. I went on one interview, the job, one of the previous positions I had never done that specific job before. But when they asked me about the company and what it is that they do, I was able to explain it so well in a way that I looked it up and I was able to tell them, hey, I've never actually done this position, but this is what I know about what you do. They were so impressed by that. I actually got the job. Okay. So it's really important. Companies want to know that you really are invested and actually care about what it is that they do. So make sure you always research the company first. And again, be able to say a few sentences about the company to them. Okay. So that's the tip number 2. Tip number 3 is make sure you walk in with confidence, okay? When you walk in, you want to make sure you walk into the conference room, wherever they're having the interview, with your head up, okay? Don't walk in slouch with your head down, shoulders down, looking like this. Walk straight up. You got to fake it till you make it, okay? So walk in there with your head held high, smiling at everyone and saying hello to all of the interviewers, because a lot of times it's not just one person you're interviewing with. So make sure you make eye contact with everyone and you say, hello, I'm Nicole. Hello, I'm Nicole. I'm Nicole. And get a little smile, even if you don't like your teeth, give a little pleasant grin, but make sure you get that eye contact with everyone, because you don't understand when you walk in a room like that, it's kind of like you're leading the meeting. Okay. Because when I go in these meetings, it's like, hey, just like they're interviewing me, I'm interviewing them, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, you want to walk in head high, introduce yourself, eye contact, smile to everyone, and then, sit down to take your interview. The next tip I want to leave is to bring samples of your work. So if you have samples that you can bring with you, a couple samples, maybe 2 or 3, so that you can pass it out, bring about 5 copies. So depending on how many interviewers they have there, but you want to bring some samples of your work so that way they can reference it and look at the quality of work you do. So you always want to make sure at least 1 or 2 of those samples are really short, engaging pieces. So if you could find just like a 1-pager and turn something you've done into maybe like an infographic or something, colorful or insightful that they can glance at, 1 page, and then you can have the other ones, maybe a report that you did that will coincide with kind of what this position has entailed. So again, you want to make sure you bring some samples of your impressive work, of course, and you don't want all of them to be 13, 14, 20-page documents. Like you can have 1 or 2 in there, but make sure there's always 1 or 2 that are quick, at a glance, really colorful, interesting, exciting work so that they can see what it is that you can do. Okay, so that's a great tip. And if you don't have that, hook up with one of your marketing friends or somebody that knows how to hook you up so you can convey your message that way, because that's something that's really going to be impressive. You bringing samples of engaging work that they can really connect with and see that side of you. The next tip I want to give is the question that they always ask. So tell me about yourself. Listen, I know you love your kids and your family and all of that, but this question is not to tell them where you're from, who your children is, what's your life story. This question is really going to be for you to answer with strong work experience. So when you're answering this question, it's going to be straight to, hey, I have 5 years experience doing that, 2 years in this. So show your strongest work history to answer that question. You're not going to start, oh, I'm from here, I have this many kids, I moved here. And no, that's not what this question is about. This question is about your strong work experience. So this is the time for you to really capitalize on those strengths that you have, talk about the history and the things that are relative to the position that you applied for. Okay, so that's a really good tip when you're answering that tell me about yourself question. It's really telling me what's gonna impress me about what you could bring to this position. Okay, the next tip, a good question to always ask is, what are your expectations for the person filling this role? Like, what are your expectations for this position? What does the day-to-day look like? Because you really want to get a good understanding of what it is you're going to be doing. Trust me, I've known several people that, apply for a job and it looks one way on paper, but when you start actually working the position and day-to-day, you see it's something totally different. So for your clarity and peace of mind, you're going to want to know, what does the day-to-day look like? Like sometimes they might give you like a brief overview of what the job is, but you want to get a good idea of what are they expecting of the person? What kind of traits are they looking for? What exactly day-to-day will this position entail? So that's always a good question that I like to ask so I can really gather information about the position, but also so I can understand and you showing that you actually care to see if you're a good fit for the position. You get what I'm saying? So it's a really good question that I always ask in any of the interviews that I do. Another great tip that I wanted to leave with you was that you want to make sure that you have some insight onto how to improve the company that you could bring up during the interview, strategically, of course. So if you look on their website, for example, and you're a website person or marketing person, and you can look and see, okay, maybe their website could be redesigned a little bit. If you know some of the strategies or techniques that they use, and you're in the industry, you know of some maybe cutting edge technology that they can try, or some strategies that they can use that you don't really see mentioned on their website. Or even during the interview. I've been in interviews, and as we're talking about different things that they're trying to start, I'm throwing in my ideas right there on the spot. So it's kind of like in the interview, we're kind of like making a plan on how we're going to get these things accomplished together. So by the end of the interview, you're feeling like, okay, she's got a plan already in place that she's ready to implement when it starts. You get what I'm saying? That kind of thing makes you stand out. Always look for opportunities to make the company better. Sometimes it's obvious when you look on their website and you can see here and there where they could do better. And sometimes it comes up during the interview. But either way, you want to make sure that you're always looking for ways to add value to the company, okay? And last tip I want to leave with you is that you are interviewing them too. You want to make sure that this is a good fit for you. So when you're in the interview, pay attention. Pay attention to their vibe, see how they are when they're speaking to you, see how they are with each other, see the kind of vibe that you're getting from them to see if they're a good fit for you, because you are an asset and you do bring value. So you want to make sure that this is a good fit for you as well, okay? It's a two-way street, because trust me, employers know that it's really hard to find a really valuable asset for their company. So just as much as they're blessing you with this job opportunity, you are a blessing to them as well. Thank you so much for watching Nikki's Comfy Couch, and blessings to you on your next interview. Leave me any comments if you have questions for me about interviewing, and I'll see you next time on Nikki's Comfy Couch. Toodles!